CM 365, all about Carnatic music.
World over, we see that the basic elements of music are melody, rhythm, harmony, form, texture and timbre. And all these come together in various ways and forms to give us music. And in Indian music, the element of lyrics is also very, very important because of the fact that it helps much to reflect the ideas and expression of both the composer and the performer. We talk about the aesthetics of music. That is, what is it that is so beautiful in any system of music? If we introspect this, we find that the concept of aesthetics itself changes from time to time and from system to system. For example, let's take the folk music first. The beauty of folk music actually lies in its rusticness, I would say, as well as in its being so natural. In the sense that it is a music which is not based on any formal or intense training. We see that in the case of folk music, it's more a transmission from one generation to the other. And that is, the oral transmission is very, very important here. And here, the whole idea of the music itself is an outpour of one's emotions and thoughts. And so the aesthetics here lies in its being basically rustic. And this system of music is not bound by any kind of grammar or technicalities like you see in a Carnatic music. And that is again where precisely the beauty of the whole system lies. Now, we also see that many of these folk melodies have been absorbed into our Carnatic music and sung as part of concerts. Now, I personally feel that in doing so, we are actually pulling it out of its roots and artificially planting it somewhere else, because of the fact that when a Carnatic musician renders these folk melodies, he is immediately bogged by the concept of the lakshana of the ragam, the technicalities, whether he is able to sing it in correct pitch and all those things, which are actually not at all important for folk music. So that is where again the aesthetics of the system, as I mentioned here in folk music, lies in the fact that it has to be very natural and rustic. Coming to Carnatic music, which is a much more complex system because of the fact that we have parallelly the lakshya and the lakshana going hand in hand. And it's something which has evolved over so many thousands of years, and in each stage it has got a different form, a different content. So we see that the aesthetics also varies because of the fact that at each point of time the content itself has been so different. And of course the modes of presentation also have been quite different at each stages. And that's where we say that the aesthetic concept is something very dynamic and it's not actually a static kind of a thing. In Carnatic music, what is aesthetics? Is it a good and facile voice that decides aesthetics? Or should be the person have a possessing, he should possess a robust and kind of a heavy kind of a voice? Is aesthetics about simplicity or complexity? Is it about good presentation? Is it about emotion and intellect? Is it about presenting vintage songs or unearthing new ones? Is it about singing time-tested ragas or trying to explore new ragas which have not been ventured at all before? Is it about presenting something in a saukyam manner, that is in a very serene kind of a manner? Or is it about playing with mathematics? Is it about presenting scholarly and intellectual compositions with high lyrical content, or in the presentation of a simple conversation of the statement of a composer? Is it about restraint in creativity or trying to expand the horizons of our exposition? Is it about more, here today we have the visual medium is very, very important. So coming to the visual aspect, is it about presenting ourselves in a simple and elegant manner, or in a grand and gorgeous manner? Is it about having subtle kind of accompaniment, or the accompaniment which tries to create frenzy and excitement in the audience? Is it about presenting things in a traditional mold, or trying to be innovative in our approach? Is it about following the conventional methods, or trying to break the path and create something new? So thus we see that so many things are part of the aesthetics of Carnatic music. Now, if you want to know what is the answer to this, of course I would say that there is no singular answer to this, because the beauty, the concept of beauty in Carnatic music is absolutely relative, I would say. And like we say that beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, I suppose here also it holds true that whatever you see or whatever you look at, and whatever you see, that you feel, if you feel it is beautiful, it is beautiful. If you think it is not, it is not. That's how it is. Coming to the critics, earlier we see that the aesthetics was actually defined by these people. They were like, the monarch. Their pen was so strong and powerful, and whatever they decided as aesthetic and whatever they said was good music, that was something people believed in also. But if you look keenly, we should understand that the critic is also one particular individual who has got his own tastes, whims and fancies, and his own background of music. Everything counts when he is going to write a review. So what he is writing in paper is actually the individual view, and it does not represent the view of the masses. Here I would also like to give you another example to prove this point about aesthetics, where there is one very, very popular artist, for example, who is known globally and has got a huge fan base, and people really love his music. But somehow I find his voice totally unmusical, and cannot come to terms with his music because of that, and so I also don't like to listen to his music. Now, in my case, what I should be able to say, this is for every Rasika for that matter. So when I listen to this music and I'm not able to really accept the music because of the fact that I find that the voice itself is something which is not very suitable to convey the thought process, then I can only say that as a Rasika that I don't like the music. But I have no right to say that this music is not good. And people are not going to even believe me because of the fact that when there are about, say, 10 lakh people listening to him, I am the only one person who says that somehow I don't like listening to this artist. I can only say that the music is something I don't like. So for every musician for that matter, when you're listening, I would say that as Rasikas, we can only say that I like this music or I don't like this music. But we really cannot say that this music is good or this music is bad, because of the fact that, again, aesthetic is something very, very relative. And here again, we could also, I will like to say another example, because of the fact that now even in this case which I was mentioning, whether I like it or not, that person is a trendsetter and he has got a huge fan following, and even so many people try to emulate his style. As artists, many youngsters want to imitate him or to try to be a replica of him. So that's how it happens, and there we see that it's again the survival of the fittest. So if just 1% or 2% is for that person it's not acceptable, it doesn't mean that the music is not good. I would also like to specifically quote one video of Harish Ramakrishnan. All of you would have seen that Rangapura Vihara that went really viral, and millions of viewers it has had actually. Now, I being a very traditional musician, when I first saw this visual thing, in the video, I was totally aghast because of the fact that first I'm mentally tuned, like that for Carnatic music we have to sit in this way only. These are the instruments that has to be used, and these things are not a part of our Carnatic music. For example, using electric guitar or the drums or the key pad and other things, these kind of things, to me it is slightly some kind of offbeat thing. And the second thing, of course, is it may sound very simple, but it did mean a lot to me in terms of the posture of the sitting. where we generally sit, wear very if it's a lady, we wear a sari, if it's a gents, it's a dhoti. These kind of things are part of the traditional concert setup that we have. And we sit on the mede or the stage, and that's how we sing. So seeing somebody sitting on a stool, with the jeans and one t-shirt and with one scarf tied on the head and with shoes, wearing shoes, all these things was really something which took me aghast for the first time. But then after listening to that composition for a couple of times, all these other visual elements got deleted from my mind and I started concentrating on the music. Then I really found that yes, this music is really very good and it has got really some good stuff in it. And I really started loving it. So here we see that some aspects of aesthetics, how we really perceive things. Visually, I was not able to come to terms, but then probably if I just close my eyes and listen to it, I find the music very, very heavenly. And here again, of course, the another aspect related to this is that we all, as people of the other generation and our parents' generation, they would know of the Rangapura Vihara as popularized by M.S. Samrakshini only, because she made it one of the most popular composition ever. She, through her inimitable voice, her beautiful way of rendition and other things. So for me, that is the first thing I have listened, the version through M.S. Subbulakshmi. But I have a student in US, who listened to this Harish singing, and she became so fond of it, and every time she is now pestering me that I should teach her that particular composition. So here again the aesthetics is so different, where for us, we know that composition through M.S. Subbulakshmi, say, sitting in a divine setup, the kind of, you can imagine that and contrast to the visual kind of a picture which is portrayed by the other singer I was mentioning here. But then that is something which is more available to the younger generation, and they find it more interesting and acceptable as well. So here again, what is the point I wanted to focus here is that the way aesthetics varies from person to person, from age to age. So I suppose that what is good or beautiful in music actually lies much with the listener than with the content or its communicator.
CM 365, all about Carnatic music.